Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for having me.
We witnessed together a historical agreement on the South Lawn of the White House. The Palestinians were not there. The president talked about that he hopes that Palestinians will come, and the foreign ministers of UAE and Bahrain. What does it take from the American side to invite the Palestinians, to entice them, to make them convinced that they have to be part of this?
Look, I think the Palestinians know that we are interested in helping advance a resolution, a fair resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We're very committed to working on that, but we can't want peace more than they do. And they have to, I think, understand, that we hope they understand, that the opportunity is there for them right now. This entire region is moving in a different direction. People are tired. People see opportunity. There's so much that can be done to make people's lives better. If that's their focus, they will find in us a very willing participant, someone that wants to have those discussions. But they have to want it. They have to move past, 100-year-old narratives of victimization and of hatred and of terror. As today's ceremony, this beautiful ceremony was happening in Washington, there were rockets being fired by Hamas or by Islamic Jihad, I'm not sure who, but out of the Gaza Strip into Israel. So we can't chase them. They have to want it. I hope they do. I know the people do. I know the Palestinian people absolutely want a better life. They want better education, better health care, better business opportunities, and we want to make that happen. But the leadership has to want it as well. And until they do, I don't think we'll make any real progress. But look, these peace agreements came about very quickly. Things change very quickly. It just takes the leadership to recognize that peace is better than conflict. And we're ready. We stand ready to help them when they come to that realization.
The president alluded to 5 or 6 more Arab countries that might join the peace treaty. Maybe you don't want to mention the name of the countries, but just explain to us, the efforts maybe trying to involve these Arab countries, what benefit they will have if they join this peacefully.
Well, every country stands on its own, has its own issues. We've reached out to many countries. We try to understand what their issues are, what their needs are, what their security risks are, and how we can help, or if we can help. We're not just handing out everything to everybody because we want to make peace. It has to make sense. It has to be in America's interests. But what we found is a huge commonality of interest among a large number of Arab countries. They're all tired of violence. They're all concerned about extremism. They're all concerned about the proliferation of hatred. They want to move past it. The leaders that want to move their countries away from hatred and towards peace will find in America a partner, a full-fledged partner. And again, each country is different, but we're really having very productive conversations with a lot of countries.
Some people will say that Israel has signed an agreement with Egypt and signed an agreement with Jordan, but that agreement somehow limited to the governments, not to the people. How can the United States help to make this agreement also an agreement between people, to make it what he called a warm peace?
I think this will be a warm peace. I think the Israelis, who I at this juncture know better than the Emiratis or those in Bahrain, they're so excited about engaging. There's already been a major hospital in Israel has already signed an MOU with a major hospital in the Emirates. There's tremendous interest. Now, on the Emirati side, I have to tell you, they have acted in such a short period of time so beautifully on simple things, but that have really resonated with Israel. For example, I saw that the Ministry of Tourism in Abu Dhabi asked the hotels to make available kosher food. I don't think there's another place in the world where the government has asked the hotel operators to serve kosher food. We may be at a point where we'll have more kosher food in Abu Dhabi than we have in Washington or New York. I mean, it's very touching. I was touched by it, and I believe many Jews were touched by it. A lot of Israelis were. I understand that the Emirates has asked that all the textbooks be evaluated and scrubbed of any references that could be considered anti-Semitic or anti-Zionist. This is just in the first couple of weeks. I mean, we are very excited by the energy that's being devoted by both countries. And Bahrain, which is, their agreement is a shorter duration. It just came into existence a couple of days ago. But on the Emirates side, which has now been around for about a month, we couldn't be happier with how both sides are embracing this on a people-to-people basis. I have no doubt this will be a warm peace.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. I mean, many people see that the anti-Semitism is really limited to the extremists, while most people in the Middle East, they embrace religions and they have no problems with any religion, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or Islam, so they can live together. But the issue was the Palestinian issue. But talking about the extremists, I was with President Trump in Saudi Arabia. He took the first trip to go to Saudi Arabia. He talked about his vision to sidelight the extremists. Iran has been posing a threat to the Gulf state, to Israel, to the people in the region. Do you think this agreement will somehow put them in check? How does this agreement help to confront Iran?
I think it goes a long way. Again, Iran is a very dangerous country, very dangerous to Israel, to the Emirates, to the Gulf, and to America. And but what does this do? This strengthens Israel. It strengthens the UAE. It strengthens Bahrain. UAE is right across the Straits of Hormuz from Iran, and I believe that UAE will be a more powerful country. It's already a powerful country. It'll be a more powerful country because as a partner in this effort, they will become stronger. Israel will become stronger. I'm convinced the Iranians are very unhappy about this trend, and that's because this is weakening the Iranian regime.
Other Arab countries, would you share with us, like, there was talk about Sudan, maybe Morocco. Morocco has a Jewish community. Sudan, maybe they're looking for different opportunity, maybe other Arab countries. Can you just talk through, who you're trying to reach to, and you were involved yourself for a long time in the peace process in Israel.
Sure. Look, we're reaching out to all the ones that you've mentioned and and others that you haven't. I mean, there aren't that many countries in the world
Oman
that
as well is one of them.
You could speculate, and you wouldn't be far off from.
Qatar is one of them too.
Again, I don't want to mention a particular country because I want them to speak for themselves. But all the ones that one would imagine are the ones that we're interested in, and that Israel's interested in. Look, I think it's. I think each is different. Each has its own needs. Each one has its own security profile, its own geography, its own economy. But ultimately, what's common to everybody is that peace is better for every one of them. There's something to be gained from a peaceful relationship with Israel and more coordination with each other. And again, I think just everyone sees the enormous waste of resources, loss of life, loss of an economy, loss of education, of opportunity. Nobody wants to send their kids off to fight. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think that is a great motivator for all the moderate nations in the Middle East to get together and really just to fight the single threat of extremism. Extremism is everybody's problem.
So where do we go from now? We saw the witnessing of the signing of the agreements. What is practically the next step? What can the United States do to make sure the implementation is going in the right direction and actually everybody is committed implementing what they committed to do?
So first of all, even just now, we had a really nice lunch. About 25 of us, the leaders of the three countries, the president, myself, some of the U.S. delegation. You can see that no one needs America to be a policeman here. These people, these nations, they want to move forward. There's no question. They want to move forward. I don't think they need us. I mean, we're happy to help, and we want to help. And there are times when we could assist in things that will make things move quicker or better or faster. But I don't doubt for a second the goodwill of any of the participants here. I see what they're doing. I see how they speak to each other now, and they're friends. They're already friends.
The president talked about ending wars, endless wars in the Middle East.
Yes.
He already said he wants to withdraw troops from Afghanistan and from Iraq, reduce the number, and he often criticized these wars. He wants to bring the sons and daughters who've been fighting, as he said, back home. Is this part, some people say, maybe it will help him in the election, or do you believe, since you know him very well, is this part of his conviction of how he wants to change the Middle East?
It's absolutely his conviction. He's been saying this for quite a long time. He wants to bring the troops home because he just sees war as it's just a waste of life, of energy, of capital. And look, the United States will likely have threats in the Middle East for some time. So just because we move our troops back doesn't mean that the threats are necessarily gone. But if you have good allies that you can rely upon, you need fewer troops on the ground. Now, Israel is historically a great ally of the United States. The Emirates too. But I think we're going to sort of supercharge, in a way, these nations as allies. And as they take care of their own security needs, they'll be assisting America as well. It'll reduce our own security threat profile and hopefully enable us to bring some troops home. So I think this is one of those rare things that is just outstanding for everybody involved. There's no one here who's paying a price for this outcome.
The president also said that he's willing to talk to the Iranians. He's willing to negotiate, but with no conditions.
Right.
And he said they don't have to wait for the second term. They can come now and have a deal. So do you think that is a plausible scenario if the president wins the next election, that he will have a peace deal with the Iranians?
I think if the president wins, and I'm fairly confident that he will, the Iranians will see that their strategy of waiting out this administration doesn't work. So now they have to deal with it. Now, when the president says, I'm going to make a deal with Iran, it doesn't mean he's going to give Iran what it wants. Any deal with Iran is obviously going to make sure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon, that they end their malign activity from Yemen to Syria, to Iraq, to Lebanon, that they end the ballistic missiles. I mean, it's not a deal that will enable Iran to remain as a malign power. But the way he sees Iran, he sees the Iranian people, very very well educated, very smart people, mistreated by their leadership, and what he's hoping for is that there is a movement. Once he gets a second term, and the Iranians know that the president's not going anywhere, that they realize the game is over, and they have to come to the table, and he will hopefully make a deal that protects the region.
And finally, Mr. Ambassador, the Emiratis and the Bahrainis said clearly, and especially today, that they believe in a two-state solution. Do you believe that they can be an asset to the Palestinians, to help them come to the negotiating table and say, this is your position, we can help you to implement it?
I think they can. I hope they can. Look, people sometimes ask me, where did this begin? Now, it's been really going on for a long time, behind the scenes. But if you remember, on January 28th of this year, the president announced his vision for peace, and it was a plan that I think, and many of us think, would have provided enormous opportunity to the Palestinians, and still does. But who was there in the room, and who got the biggest applause? The Emirati ambassador to the United States and the Bahraini ambassador to the United States. They got thunderous applause because we saw in them and in their attendance the opportunity to get some strength, to get some power behind this proposal, that it wasn't just an American proposal. And that, to me, was really a turning point in the process. It had a significant impact on how we got to where we are today.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Nadia. Great to be here. Thank you.